How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Loud Podcast. Today, our special guest is Freddie Bigg from Planta and SF Canna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. We had Chris a couple episodes ago. He got me too lit. He got too lit. We were so high.
Typical Cannabis Chris. Yeah, typical Cannabis Chris, for sure.
Tell us how you got started in the industry.
Smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah.
No, I think an avid smoker. I was an avid smoker. That's
nice.
How I got into the industry. And I will say that I am pretty passionate about cannabis. I do love it, and it has been a large portion of my life for a very long time.
So when did you start smoking?
I feel like I started smoking very young, but I started smoking like consistently like around 20. I started being, I feel like, a real smoker. You know, I feel like I kind of fucked with it in my younger ages, but like by the time I was 20, we were smoking.
You were into martial arts, wrestling. You fought MMA, I heard.
Yeah, I fought 7-1 as a pro. I competed in mixed martial arts. I wrestled in high school. I was high school All-American. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time playing sports and athletics.
And smoking and training.
You know what? When I was training, when I trained for wrestling, I didn't really smoke that much. I don't know if it was the stigma, but I didn't, even though I did know some people that did smoke and have good success. But when I was fighting, I was smoking a lot, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. The Diaz brothers kind of showed us all the way.
They smoke a lot.
They smoke a lot.
They smoke a lot, bro. I will say, Nick and Nate, those are some certified smokers. And yes, I love training with Nate Diaz. I know some gyms don't really care for you smoking, like
sure.
the Diaz Academy, you know. Put out your joint before you get on the mat. You know what I mean? It's pretty chill about it. So, yeah, I did dig that.
Yeah, I train with CJ Levique right now. He used to train with
CJ Levique. He's East Bay. I know, bro. Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
He's
a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight. Yeah,
he's a super heavyweight now. He's 315.
What, I think he went to Liberty, maybe? Something like that. Yeah, I know, bro, for sure.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So, yeah, we train.
Really good dude.
We train UFC.
Really good dude.
He does not smoke. He knocks people out.
He knocked a couple decent people out. Yeah, for sure.
And he hits hard. So
big
holding
dude.
pads for that guy, yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy. He's fun to train with though. So.
I bet.
So yeah. He does a lot of jiu-jitsu now.
I feel like the fight community is a small community, a small tight-knit community.
World.
Yeah, somebody fights, I got a lot of respect for anybody who has the audacity to put it all on the line and get in there, so.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I trained at Dragon House 20 years ago. Dragon House was
San Francisco.
Yeah.
What, Zhang? What is his name?
Zong Lao.
Yeah. Okay.
Zong's a character.
Zong is a character indeed. Dragon House, they've been putting on cool events in the city. Kezar Pavilion.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to a couple in there for sure.
Yeah, his school back in the day was a lot different than it is now. It wasn't MMA. It was Kung Fu, but
martial
arts
was about a lot different back then.
A lot different
back then, for sure.
But yeah, San Francisco, smoking weed. You always used to be able to smoke in San Francisco on the street. It was never an issue.
San Francisco, I feel like, I lived in San Francisco in my early 20s, and I feel like as far as like embracing cannabis, no city embraced cannabis as early and as much as San Francisco. You know what I mean? It was one of the first places where it was accepted to walk down the street smoking weed. I feel like a lot of other places, people were worried about going to jail for smoking weed. In San Francisco, walking past cops smoking, no problem. So I feel like San Francisco has embraced cannabis for such a long time.
Yeah.
For such a long time.
Yeah, I remember Blowfish Sushi back in the day. We used to drive out to Blowfish and smoke on the stoops and
That's
then
dope.
wait for our reservation. No big deal.
No big deal. Just smoking peace.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like stoners are peaceful.
Totally. They're not killing people. They're killing cheeseburgers.
Exactly. I feel like there's no harm, no bad intent, no problem.
Yeah, so tell me your earliest memory of good weed.
I feel like one of my really good childhood friends, my brother, was the weed dealer when I was younger in high school, and he was the guy who had it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was around some really good weed, and I feel like, as far as like my friend circle and my peer group, one of my best friends had the best weed and was the guy. You know what I mean? Was the weed guy for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was a different era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That dude went to prison for 6 ounces. Like that was a different era.
Completely different world back then.
Right. I feel like, these new age trappers got a little soft. Like it was big penalty going to jail. Before when we were doing it, it was a lot riskier.
There were scary times for sure. We had pagers. We didn't have all the access.
That's hella funny. Someone was just talking about pagers. I'm like, I don't think I ever trapped off a pager. I'm like, I'm old, but not that old. I never trapped off the pager.
Yeah, I'm 47. So, I mean, there was codes. You didn't even, it was a wild
for sure.
For sure. So you grew up in the Bay Area then?
I did. I grew up in Fairfield, California.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
You ever see Cannabis?
I did, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, the legendary Cannabis,
Right.
for sure.
It's a big topic on this show.
Really?
It's my favorite.
Super dense. It was like that super dense. Yeah, it had like almost a yellowish tone to it. Definitely reeked like ammonia.
Yeah, ammonia. And I think there's multiple Cannabises. We talk about it all the time. But
Right.
I feel like there was anything with ammonia was Cannabis. The Bay Area
sure.
Cannabis was like.
I feel like that was an
else,
East Bay thing too. I
Yeah.
feel like Cannabis was very, very East Bay-ish. You know what I mean? In San Francisco, we didn't get the piss as tough. But I go to the town in Oakland, everybody had the piss. That was like one of the first real za. You know what I mean? That was exotic. You had the piss. That was the shit.
Oh yeah, the Champelli and
The piss, the pelly,
Yeah.
like that was that. Yeah, that was that old school za.
Well, and that's the one that really made me fall in love with weed was the Cannabis because you could smoke it down to the roach, you could fire it up the next day. $60 an eighth back then was a lot of money. That'd be like what, over $100 a day for sure.
Right.
But it was totally
But it was
worth
that
it.
stony indica. It was that stare at your shoelaces type indica strong high.
And it could
for
get you
sure.
high if you smoked it any time of the day, night, didn't matter. Didn't matter what your tolerance was. It was strong.
Strong. What do you think the lineage on that was?
Northern Lights times Super Silver times Skunk.
Interesting.
But it's long gone. So remaking it, that's going to be. We're doing a documentary this year on it, and we're working on versions of Cannabis and stuff like that.
Right.
So
A lot of those versions are lost. They're lost.
Dude,
You're
so
not getting
many
those
things.
back. You're not getting those back.
no, but along the way you might find something better, and that's kind of what we're trying to explain.
I would say you might find something better for sure.
yeah, or different,
Or different.
It's hard to say something's better than something.
It's hard to
else,
say something's better because at the end of the day, it's a matter of opinion.
It's like, is Zootopia better than Skittles, or is Skittles better than Zootopia?
Depends who markets it better.
Who grew it?
Depends who grew it. Who grew it has a large portion of the conversation. I think some really legendary strains have lost their allure because they've been grown by poor growers.
Well, Skittles is one of those ones that people struggle to grow good Skittles. There's a
Everybody
handful of
can't
people that
do
can
it.
grow good Skittles, and that's it. It's not even the 1% of it.
I wouldn't even say, yeah, it's such a fickle plant.
Yeah.
And the Skittles market is such a fickle market. It's such a unique oddity, So
Yeah.
I think that
It still sells and it's green. I mean, and it's not gelato.
it's not, the bud structure is not there. It doesn't have color. It doesn't, it's not along the lines of any other contemporary strains. It's totally unique. It's totally unique. And I was blessed to have Skittles. 2017, I think, is when I started getting Skittles from a grower from Humboldt who had the real candy tardy Skittles cut. So
Yeah, I tried it around June 10th of, I don't remember exactly, of 2014 was the first time I tried it as a cup.
it's super distinct.
Super distinct.
Obviously, like, it's crazy. I remember I see the grower was really proud of the weed. I was like, I don't know. I looked at it. It smelled great. I was like, maybe a B+. And the grower was very offended. And I was like, he's like, you got to smoke it. And I'm like, well, let's smoke it.
Yeah.
Right. And I will say this. I hit the joint and it had intense flavor. It was super unique. And I was like, wow, this is really unique. The flavor on this is really, really special. Really special. And the high was intense. And I was like, okay, this might be something. The bag appeal was definitely not there, though. The bag appeal.
No, it doesn't have the
not
bag
there.
appeal.
It does not have the bag appeal.
And a lot of
That's why
guys
it's not
grow
for
it.
everybody.
You guys have Skittles that's sticky. A lot of people don't have Skittles that's sticky. It's dry. It has like a dry feel to
Talking
it.
about the SF Canna group, we do a lot of things not other people are able to do. For sure. I will say those dudes. The SF Canna Cultivation team is a really talented team that has a lot of diverse skills. Yes, they can grow Skittles, they can grow candies, they can grow cookies, I feel like. Yeah. And they can grow in different mediums, they can grow in different lighting. I feel like those dudes are really great at their craft, great at their craft. They do a lot of things that most people can't do. And the yield they're getting on the Skittles is crazy. The yield
It's crazy. It's crazy.
The yield, the quality, like, that's the shit people don't believe. I'm like, I don't know, I synced it.
Yeah.
So getting 3 pounds plus a light on Skittles is unheard of, but it's like.
And doing it at scale.
And doing it at scale.
It's rare.
We don't do a little.
No, yeah,
we don't do a little.
No, and it's like the quality, most people, when they grow a small scale, they can get quality like that. But once you scale up past 100 lights or past 500 or 1,000 lights, it's
levels to the shit, man. That's definitely levels to the shit. And I feel like that's why I was on a past thing. I was talking about, there's small growers with big egos. There's small growers who have under, smaller canopies and they have it dialed in, and then they feel like they're great at their craft. But then there's other teams that are doing it over a large scale, which makes it a totally it's a different level. It's a different level, and to be able to get quality at larger scales is a skill not many groups are capable of.
Right. So, what's your favorite thing to smoke right now? What are we smoking?
We're smoking 11 coffins right now.
Nice. That's good.
This was a 400 seed hunt. Planta Cannabis company, LA-based cannabis company that I'm partnered with. I think the cultivator is amazing, and I think that he's dedicated a lot of space to finding new flavors and new phenos. We've been popping around 200 seeds a month. This was a 500 seed hunt, 400 of which was this RS11 crossed with Coffin County. It was bred by Duca Verb, Duca Doja, really close friend of mine, Rusty. So it was a large seed hunt, and it's hard to pheno hunt, on the pallet, and I get to, help select. So it's hard to select that many. I can't remember what the total was, but I know it was, man, it might have been 70 to assess. I feel like the cultivator grows out 400 seeds, X amount are going to be male, X amount of plants are going to get crossed out, and then you get a sample of the ones that are viable, keepers.
Right.
So I don't remember how many it was, but it was a lot. Yep. It's a lot. And I feel like you have to do it in a timely fashion because, the cultivator is devoting space to keeping all these plants alive. So, the 70 or whatever phenos you have. So you have to get through them in a timely manner. I feel like you can only smoke and fairly assess so many before your palate gets burnt out, So it was...
palate fatigue.
I'll say, I would like to say it's a rough job, but smoking a ton of new flavors all week long isn't the worst job ever. You know what I mean? So, but, and this was actually number 178. You see a lot of strains are number 4, number 7. Yeah. So this is we call it 11 coffins, and this is number 178 out of 400.
Wow.
And this one right here, it's really dope when you see all the phenos because you see different representations, you see different characteristics get to come out. This one right here had the RS11, that OZK gas. It had an even balance of the gas and the candy from the Coffin Candy, because Coffin Candy is another strain that's unique to us, but it's like a complex candy. The 11 coffins, it had an even balance of you could taste the RS11 type gas, you could taste the candy, and I think that strains that do well blend things people are familiar with, So, and I think people want candy gas, and I think this is really a true candy gas. It's sweet, it's gassy, it's really complex. It's got some different textures and layers. So I like this one a lot. We also have a Skittles back cross, but it's Skittles back cross to Skittles back cross to a strain called Strawberry Scalato, which is Skittles by Gelato by a Strawberry Diesel Coffin Cut. I don't know if you're familiar with Coffin Cut, but it's like a triple layer Z. It's like a triple Z that we've. That's probably the new strain that I'm most excited about. We also did an Afternoon Pineapple, which is a sativa dominant that had actual pineapple flavor. Cross that to Runts. So it's a candy gas, but it's like a hazy, gas. Mm-hmm. I would like to say a more sativa-y. I wouldn't say it tastes like pineapple, but it has a hazy sativa gas mixed with candy. I think I'm really excited for that one as well.
Nice. What do you think about sativas?
Wouldn't be my first choice. I wouldn't say it would be my first choice. I think that, and I don't think that it's really hard to see a true representation of any of the, the sativa indica labels. It's hard to see real true definitions that aren't hybrids. So I would say that there's sativa leaning plants that I would say probably not my favorite, but I haven't seen a really true, maybe a little bit. I've seen some Nimbus Snacks is a newer strain that's nice. That's has a hazy type vibe. I think that is definitely sativa leaning that I really enjoyed. It was grown by Humble Harvest in Sacramento. They're growing this Nimbus Snacks, and it had a hazy sativa gas, but it was burning super clean, super flavorful. Nice. But I don't think it would be my first choice.
Yeah. You remember the Super Silver back in the day in San Francisco?
I'm very familiar
90s,
with Super
2000s.
Silver. I was working with a group. I was getting a bunch of Super Silvers from a group. That's 13 weeker or something, huh? That's like a really
it's a longer flowering.
It's a longer flowering
There's
strain.
shorter flowering versions of it, but the one that was going around the bay was
I think the dudes, I was working with a group out of Pacifica a long time ago, and they were growing super silver, and I think it was 13 weeks.
Yeah.
That shit takes forever when you're waiting for it. So that's like 15 weeks before batch to batch, you know what I mean? 16 weeks back batch to batch out of like a house grow. That shit. Yeah, I did work with a group that had the super silver. I like that strain. I like that strain. Would it be, but I don't think it would like be tops as far as what my palate prefers.
Yeah, and customers these days, I mean, I guess if you had good super silver, anything will sell. You know, if it's good, if it's ultra premium.
I feel like anything that is grown to really good quality will sell.
Except for Jack Herrera right now.
So I feel like some of the heady kids showed me the new cool shit, and I'm like, this is Jack. Yeah. And I feel like some groups, I think Lumpy's has an apple strain, but it's Jack vibes to me. And I will say that, like, yeah, a couple people was like, this is the new hot shit. And I'm like, this is Jack, bro. This is Jack. So it's interesting to see, because I feel like a lot, you know, I feel like the truth of the matter that strains that are marketed well do well. Yeah. Strains that are marketed really well do well. So, some of those strains, and I feel like some really good strains that aren't marketed well don't do well. You know, so I think that marketing has a lot to do with the success of a lot of products.
Yeah,
especially like if you're comparing on an even playing field. If we have like, you know, 10-10 flower compared to 10-10 flower, whichever one is marketed better is going to do the best. Yeah. I mean, the grass is greener where you water it. So you know, I think when you put the marketing attention on top of it, it gets a lot of presence. I think that just kind of is what it is for sure.
Right.
I mean, McDonald's and Nike, they're not making better products. They're doing more innovative marketing.
Yeah. How big of a role do you feel social media plays?
How big of a role? I feel like social media plays a large part. I feel like that the social media platforms have made it hard to market cannabis, but they're so normally used, regularly used, and I feel like that it's a large tool to market on. I feel like it's a very difficult tool to market on. I feel like I've been able to navigate it relatively well, but it's definitely a nuanced space. You have to know how to tiptoe around Instagram without getting deleted. And I feel like we've been deleted enough times to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. So I think that social media does play a large part, but I don't think that that's going to be the future of cannabis marketing.
No, and I think the relationship with the customer is the biggest thing, and customer, you know, having their trust to where they come back and they shop and they want SF Canna every time, or they want whatever.
That's the definition of a brand. Yeah, really, that's the definition of a brand. Your brand is your promise. You know, like if I have it, that's like initially the definition of a brand is your brand is your promise. Like SF Canna, you know, I get to QC it. We only put our name on X amount of quality, so that's our promise that every time you smoke our weed, you're going to get something that's beautiful, potent, and burning clean. So. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we got a bunch of SF Canna photos in my book. So
that's dope.
Yeah, we went and toured, and we've been doing a bunch of work together. So with the collaboration stuff, and yeah, you went through some of the Cantaloupes phenos. There was like 90 some odd phenos. It was kind of all over the place with that one.
So I feel like they do an amazing job as far as cultivation is concerned.
Yeah.
As far as labeling the cuts and knowing which flavor is which, I'm not going to say they mastered that yet. So I definitely, and I am blessed to test all these. And a lot of times I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
They're like, number 647. I'm like, what are the genetics? I want to know all the stuff. And I feel like people want to know. They want the story. You know, people want the story.
They want the story for sure.
So a lot of times I feel like the cultivation team, that's not really on their radar. You know, they're looking for how the weed grows, how the plant, you know, structured.
How to make it taste better, how to make it burn better.
How to make it taste better. So sometimes they don't know the genetics. And I'm like, we got to know the genetics, guys. Guys, we got to know the genetics. Right. They're like, I don't know, James gave it to me. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the genetics, brother. We can't market this as got this from James. You know what I mean?
Right. So. It's funny because I feel like the line keeps moving and the bar keeps moving up.
Oh, the cultivation space is evolving at such a fast pace. And I think they're like the innovations and quality and the yields, and it's just, you know, it's evolving super fast. And you see people 2 years behind, and they just get further and further behind as everything starts to advance. And then you see like some of the more technologically advanced grows, and it's amazing what people are doing.
People that focus on white ash getting, that's a whole nother animal too. So it wasn't something that was really in the conversation 3 or 4 years ago.
So I feel like clean burning weed has been a lot part of the conversation for a long time. Like you didn't want your weed to burn black, and you wanted it to smoke well. Whether you identified that as the white ash by ash color, I don't think the ash color was a box that needed to be checked, but for the weed to be flavorful and burning clean was a box to be checked, and for it not to be burning black has been a thing for a long time.
For sure.
I don't think that the science of white ash has totally been mastered. I feel like there's definitely some other nuances that affect the color of the ash, and I won't say that. And I feel like but as baseline, typically if it's burning white, it's clean. Whether it's interesting to see because I've seen some of these more potent strains that don't burn as clean, and I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Because I will say some of these strains that are burning super white aren't necessarily the most potent flavorful strains. They're just burning white, and people like them because they're burning white. And I've got flower that people were really proud of, and I'm like, this is burning really clean. Mm-hmm. I don't think it got me high. I'm not really tasting a lot of flavor out of it. So the overall experience, I would rate it lower. I would rate it lower, even though it does have the white ash.
Yeah, I feel you. It's really interesting. And then the struggle to get it white all the time. And I mean, there's recipes that guys have come up with where I feel like it's pretty consistent, but not everything is the same. So you have Skittles versus...
And I'll say that. I like to say, maybe I'll take an unpopular stance. There's guys that have mastered curating white ash, but I still don't think that their flower is at the top of the heap. It always burns clean, but in my opinion, it's not the best flower.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I'm all about flavor and I'm all about effect. Those are the two most
flavor and potency are really important. Flavor and potency are real important for sure.
Well, we used to get cat piss back in the day. It was the ugliest of ugly. Like we get shreds in the bag sometimes. It was still $60 for an eighth. And so that made me realize how important the other things are. Bag of peel wasn't as important, but the brickweed was nasty back in the day. So I didn't get good brickweed.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do a lot of brickweed. Blessed to not really do a lot of brickweed.
Headaches.
No headaches for me.
Smoking out of cans with seeds popping.
Definitely hit out of a few cans here and there. Definitely smoked in some survival situations.
Totally. So yeah, where do you think the future of the industry is going?
Global.
Yep.
That's why I was in Spain. I think that the market's going to improve globally. I think Germany just did some type of decriminalization, legalization. Mm-hmm. I think that, so now you got Thailand, Germany, and a host of other countries that are starting to become legal, and I think that are able to trade with each other. Yeah. So I think that global's the future. I think that having a global footprint is like essential, and that's why I was in Spain, because I wanted to market my brands globally.
Have you been out to Thailand and seen the scene out there?
I have not been out to Thailand, man. I know that you know what it is. When I was in Spain, everybody was in Thailand for the full moon sesh.
Oh wow.
I know a lot of people that went out there. I've heard mixed stories of the market, but I think it's really interesting, and Thailand's been high on my list of countries to visit for a long time. As a fighter, I would like to go there for the Muay Thai, and they have amazing food, amazing fruit. Yeah. I mean, I like fruit, and they have some of the highest quality. They don't even call it organic. It's just how they're growing the food is in Thailand. So Thailand's super high on the list.
Yeah, I have a ton of friends out there I've been waiting to go to. I mean, looking forward to it.
And it's crazy because, I base my travel whether we can smoke or not, since I like to smoke. Can we smoke there or not? So Thailand was high on the list, but I was like, man, you couldn't smoke there. So now it's more appealing. I'm hearing the weed's uber expensive. I was hearing $45 a gram for good weed out there.
Wow. I
was like, that's crazy. I feel like, the price for weed in Barcelona was really high. I didn't bring any. I dropped a bag on weed in Barcelona. I was buying $100 Ace every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice
a day. Yeah, but they have good flower out there. They have good extract out there. They got passionate people. The industry is booming out in Barcelona. And I mean, still. in my opinion.
It had amazing vibes, man. It had amazing vibes, and I did feel very welcomed, and I did like the culture of how they chilled at the shops and smoked, and you chilled there. They'll bring you, smoking accessories. They got papers and bongs. And
that's how it should be
whatever
here.
you need. Man, I love it. And some of them, you can order a latte. Some of them you can order a beer.
Yeah.
Like food, snacks. I definitely like that vibe.
Yeah, I think it's great where you can smoke and you can hang out and chill in a public place where, there's other people.
I would take cannabis over alcohol every single time. So like, I feel like sometimes, you get pulled into the bar because that's a social norm in America. So, but I think there was establishments where we could chill and smoke and have some music and the same type vibes. I would take that 10 times out of 10, over alcohol. And that's what I did like. Some of the cafes in Spain are open till midnight, 1 o'clock, and you could, catch a vibe, chill, smoke. Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And I like the flavors, so I wanted to see the menus. I was hitting different shops, seeing different menus, smoking the Spowie, the Cali genetic Spanish grown weed.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. A lot of the good stuff for sure. You try any of the Spanish stuff?
Yeah, I tried a lot of local weed, and I feel like I feel very blessed. Like, the power of social media. So when I touched down, some local growers knew hit me up, and I was gifted a bunch of weed. So
how about Spanish genetics? It's mostly California stuff. Amnesia haze.
I feel like, that's the broad. That's like what's broadly grown.
There's lots of amnesia there.
And then it's a lot of California strains, but they definitely want genetics. And they're like, I love that they're interested in popping seeds. I feel like, yeah, because popping seeds is for everyone. It's not like the most profitable way to go. If you're like trying to make money, popping seeds is not the way to make the most money. But it's essential for like the future, and I think it has its own value. It's inherent value. Not everybody can cash in on that value, but it definitely has a lot of value.
Well, and guys over there are now growing better to where they can actually do good selections, because you have to grow at a certain level to do selections.
To really assess, you got to. Yeah, to really have a good representation of the plant. If it's not grown well, you get a poor representation of the plant.
Exactly.
You don't
it looks
know what
like
you're
all the
missing
other
out
ones.
on.
How about hash holes? What's your opinion on that?
I love hash holes. I'm not a hash hole all day guy.
Right.
And it's interesting. I'm not really the guy. I feel like I enjoy smoking really good rosin. I don't mind paying for really good rosin. But I don't know if it's worth it to throw that $100 a gram rosin into the hash hole. I don't know that I get that pleasure out of it, but some people do. Some people do. I would rather take a second wash. I feel like I'd rather roll a hash hole in a second wash than like some people are busting open these, these jars that are $200 a jar and throwing them in a hash hole. I'm like, that's crazy. I feel like it's like beer bonging champagne, what I mean? Man, I don't know.
There's definitely people that do that. I've seen.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if that's the way that I want to enjoy my $100 gram rosin.
I mean, I used to have a friend that would drink Jerk, the E&J, pints of it. He'd put them in the freezer. It's the same, not high end. He was the cat piss guy, actually.
That's funny. I had my Jerk stage.
Yeah. You put it in the freezer?
Oh, no. I didn't put it in the freezer. Oh, I hid it in my backpack. I feel like I was a little bit younger when we were doing it before I graduated to Hennessy.
Yeah. We did the Jack and Cokes with the 7-Eleven big gulps.
Huh.
Yeah. All bad.
All bad.
Yeah, that's all bad. So, but I mean, that's better than the 40s, in my opinion. The malt liquor. I think malt liquor just makes people a little crazy.
Malt liquor is crazy. It's crazy that like St. Ides is the huge cannabis infused drink. Like, and I feel like the younger generation isn't aware of like the St. Ides, Snoop Dogg, malt liquor 40 generation, because that's what I identify St. Ides as. You know what I mean? The crooked eye type drink. So it's interesting to see that there's St. Ides infused cannabis drinks that are really popular right now.
Totally.
Good for St. Ides though.
For sure.
They definitely cleaned up their image.
Yeah, it's interesting, all these companies that are going to be jumping towards cannabis though too in the future. Tobacco,
yeah, the big companies are coming. That's tobacco, that's just an indication. Like St. Ides, they're a large malt liquor company. Now they're huge in the cannabis space. There's going to be more of that for sure. Especially as like federalization clears up, things become legal, things become clearer, then the large money is definitely going to come in. Yeah.
It's already coming in, sneaking in.
It's already dripping in.
Yeah, for sure.
But like just trickling in, not like,
Well, I mean, it's a big industry and there's several sides of the industry. There's the boutique high-end side of the industry, and then
it's
there's
a large
everything
industry,
else.
and there's everything else. Yeah, no, for sure.
Well,
I'm on the top.
Yeah, and for sure. And the boutique, yeah, I mean, the high end, is
the
so
high end
small.
is
Everybody knows everybody.
Very small segment of the market. Yeah. Everybody knows everybody, and that's like, it's not for everybody.
It's not.
It's not for everybody, and that's not. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Most people aren't going to enjoy, the best of the best. When you look at alcohol, most people aren't enjoying the finest wines. They're getting somewhere middle to bottom, and that's what most cannabis consumers are consuming.
Right.
But there are those people that really, search for the best and seek that out and enjoy it. And it's funny because it's always, it's funny in cannabis. It's not necessarily like the financial levels. Like, I don't know how you say it, but like, I feel like some people with meager means smoke the best weed. Smoke the best weed. You know what I mean? Sacramento, I feel like it's a median income city. Sacramento, they're smoking amazing weed in Sacramento. Yeah. So I feel like
and there's some people I know with a bunch of money and they just smoke the
worst cheaters. Rich people smoke the worst weed ever for sure. So I guess it just shows what some people are passionate about and what's important to them. But yeah.
Totally. Well, yeah, it's great when passion drives it. And I think the other thing is collecting data points over time really determines how much you like weed or don't like weed. I think you smoke a lot, then you realize what's good and bad. If you smoke very rarely, then it's kind of all the same. And
it's hard to really assess it.
After 20 years or 15 years or whatever, you really get a good idea. If you tried a bunch of stuff, you can really have a
broader palette. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a broader palette for sure.
Well, with cannabis, you can go in any direction. It's like there's so many different flavors out there now. As far as like whatever direction you want to go, berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, acai berries.
Right. There's so many variants. There's so many variants. It's definitely infinite.
Well, there's a lot of subtleties to the plant. I'm all about the subtleties.
There's a lot of nuances in the plant. There's a lot of reasons why things can't be. I feel like people are always like, if we can mix this strain and that strain, we're going to get. And it's never like that. And
it's never like that.
And it's never like that. People are like, if we cross this with that.
It's almost never like that. It's mostly never like that. And every once in a while you get lucky.
400 phenos later, you find one that matches what you were looking for. Yeah.
Totally. But there's a lot of recessive traits in the genetics. So when you're trying to breed for specific stuff, unless you're reinforcing those traits, and if you're just creating F1s, you don't know what you're going to get. And if you don't know your lines, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
So the more you breed, the more you work with the plants, you kind of know what the possibilities are.
What characteristics are going to come out and how heavily each one's going to come out is just different.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's when you see a bunch of different phenos, yes, there's like common characteristics in all of them. And some are, I think it's just like kids. Like, you have 5 kids, they all look similar. They all got the same eyes, but some are tall, some are small. I think it's similar with when you do large pheno hunts. There's certain base characteristics that you can see in a large portion of the strains that come out. And it's just different. How much of that comes out is different. I think that's really one of the most interesting things from pheno hunting that I found is that yes, there's base characteristics that you can see in all these strains that like come out, and then you look for the one where the characteristics that you're looking for comes out the most.
Yeah, and then there's the unicorns. That's always.
And then there's the what the fuck is this, right?
Exactly.
And then all these look the same, about the same, and then you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? There's definitely some of those what the fuck are this for sure.
Those are the fun ones too.
The funky ones, there's like, okay, and I think that when you're selecting keepers, you're like, okay, I like this one because this character stand out. I like this one because these characteristics stand out. We're going to rerun this one because it grew so well, and we're like, but some of them are like, this one's funky. This one's different. And you're like, it's hard to assess whether that's good or bad. It's hard to forecast what people are going to like.
For sure. Well, until you smoke it, you don't really know if it's a winner. And I think some people miss on that note when they're going through the process. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about smoking it and finding out the effect and the taste, because sometimes it just doesn't translate on the plant. It's the most amazing, beautiful, smelly thing. And then you grow it out and smoke it, or you dry it out and smoke it, and it's just not there.
Totally different experience.
Cardboard tips.
I think that, I think that's why it's important to have a team or like people with diverse skill sets. I think that like my Planta cultivation partner is an amazing cultivator, and he knows a lot of the characteristics of the plant. But then, yes, he dries the flower. I get to smoke the flower and assess it and see, like, from a smoker's perspective, like, what I feel is about the plant. And I think that we come together and find some really special things.
So you're in Sacramento too part-time?
I'm all over the place. I don't even know where I'm at. That's the new Emerald Triangle, Bay to LA to Sacramento. So I just be running the triangle.
The new triangle.
That's the new triangle.
Yeah, so since we played a game with Chris, we're going to do this little game where I got 3 joints. 2 of them are SF Canna and 1 of them is not SF Canna, and you get to guess which one.
I get to guess which one.
So you can go ahead and dry hit them all, and then we'll fire them up.
Interesting. Challenging. No.
We like to have fun.
I'm all for fun. I feel like this is most likely something that we grew. I feel like this is a maybe. This is just from the dry hit, though. We got to fire it up.
This is just from the dry hit, yep.
No, but I feel like, okay, this one's not, we didn't grow this one. I don't know. You know what it is? I'm going to say this. We grow a lot of shit people don't get to see. And I feel very blessed to see it all. Like,
right.
So this one seems like a strain that we're not known for. This feels like a glitter bomb-y, different-y.
Yeah.
That has something different in it. But I feel like, so my vote would be this one. But I will say this, I feel like SF Canna, we have access to most of the great contemporary genetics out there, and we've grown them. Whether they worked out for us is not always the case, but we have access and grown some things because this tastes like a glitter bomb. SF Canna, we're not grown from glitter bomb, but we grew some glitter bomb.
You guys did grow some glitter bomb. 2 phenos of it.
Yeah. So we grew some glitter bomb. We've grown some. So, but I think that. But I would then I'd have to smoke them. I feel like if I smoked them, I would definitely.
Yeah,
definitely no, because it's the thing. Not everything smokes like SF Canna weed.
Right.
But I would say this.
Which one you want to fire first?
This would be my vote, and this would be the one that I'd want to smoke the least.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that it's just a matter of preference. It's a matter of preference. So I would smoke the sweet one first.
Nice.
Yeah, I would smoke this sweet one first. It's funny because when you say that candy is really popular, people get mad. Like, I feel like, I'm just going to say it, candy is the most in-demand flavor right now. And some people get mad when you say that. And I'm like, I don't control the market. The market controls the market. Yeah, the demand controls the market. So if people like dessert flavored strains, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. I enjoy a really good gassy, biscotti, carbon fiber type weed as well. But I feel like the market right now,
they want color, and then they want candy.
Yeah.
And then something else with it. You could put candy gas. You could put.
It just got to be a little different. It just got to be a little different. That's a hit.
Yeah. Yeah, the gelatos. We're in the age of gelatos still.
We are in the age of gelato. Yeah, I would say some people say runts, but yeah, I mean gelatos.
It's still the influence from the gelato. But
I feel like it's the elbow is connected to the wrist, is connected to the finger type thing, like.
Right.
If you look at it that way, if you look at it as everything's gelato crosses, then you could also say everything's cookie crosses because gelatos came from cookies, which was the biggest wave or impact in the Bay.
It was. Yeah, I mean, 2010, 2000 to 2012, it was the biggest thing out there. At least coming from the Bay, there was still a lot of OGs. LA just loved their OGs.
Like that 2010 era. I think that Kushes had a nice little wave in the Bay where people wanted to grow. I was growing like a classic Bubba Kush that had like the really cushy structure at that
soapy
time.
smell.
The classic OG Kush was really in favor a little bit in that 2010, 2012 range. But then the cookies reigned dominant for a very long time, for a really long time.
Yeah, and cookies didn't catch on in other places quite like it did the Bay. LA had cookies. You could get cookies.
I feel like that's what kind of made it the exclusivity of it. Like a lot of people were interested in it, but not everybody could get real cookies.
Right.
you had to come to the city. You got to come to the city for the real cookies.
Yeah, it was the first thing I smoked that tasted bready. It's got that bready character that it's also in like wedding cake and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, all those contemporary strains kind of come back to some kind of cookie.
Right. The doughiness of it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is out there for sure. Cookies is in a lot of stuff.
So I feel like this tastes like SF Canna Cherry Guava. I could be wrong, but this is something
You're correct.
In that range. And it's smoking like that.
Yeah.
It's smoking clean. It got the ring. I feel like.
Yeah, you are correct. It's a good one. I love the terps on that.
One of my top 3 all favorite strains, probably Cherry Guava. It's a phenomenal strain. Candy, has some gas to it.
Bag appeal.
Super potent. Bag appeal color. Super potent.
Yeah, super potent.
Super potent.
Yeah, it checks the boxes. I really like that one. So you got any big projects coming up?
I mean, we got a bunch of big breeding projects coming. I think I got a lot of travel coming. I'm going to Houston. I love Houston. Shout out to Texas. And I feel like the cannabis scene is emerging super fast rate in Houston. So I fuck with Houston. So I'll be back out in Houston. And so, yeah, it's a bunch of travel. And we got a bunch of new seed projects in development. So we got a lot of new things coming.
Yeah, Houston. My brother lives in Houston. My parents live in Texas as well.
I feel like it's funny. I go to these cities on some cannabis related stuff, and I'm not really as familiar with the city as I would prefer to be. So yeah, I got to Houston, and I was like, and I didn't realize it was a really cool city. It exceeded my expectations as well. I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I had never been out there. I thought it was going to be a little countryer, but nah, it's like real modern big city.
For sure. Crawfish. When I think of Houston, I think of good crawfish.
Really?
They have VKG crawfish too. Yeah, it's really good.
That sounds like a vibe. It sounds like a vibe. It sounds like something I'd like. I didn't know Houston was known for that.
And they have really good food there. Really good food.
They had amazing food.
The cost of living is a lot less than California, for sure.
It's amazing, the cost of living. Yeah, it's amazing what you can get out there relatively. It's crazy how much stuff costs out here.
Well, now with the THCA, it's like they have THCA all over Texas. And, it's like they tax that. The DCC, and the taxes that we have to deal with in California is way different than like what they're dealing with in Texas, where they have it in a CBD shop.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The taxes has had the largest impact on if we're talking about you might as well call it the failure of the recreational market, where, it hasn't been a whole lot of winners in the recreational market. And a lot of that is just due to taxation. And it's really hard for a consumer to pay $80 for an eighth that Bobby down the street has for $40. It's really difficult. And that's like, and that's from the taxation. I think it's overly taxed. It's not taxed similar to other things that would be similar. It's not taxed like alcohol would be. So it's taxed at such a high rate that it's made it almost impossible for a lot of recreational companies to succeed. Almost like that was the plan.
Yeah, it's interesting because the price has gone down of the flower, and then the price of everything else has gone up. So now there's not as much profit, and it's a big struggle. It's a big struggle for a lot of companies.
It's a big struggle for a lot of companies. I would say the industry as a whole has had a difficult past, 36 months post-COVID. But I feel like there's a lot of nuances as to why that happened. Obviously, a lot of people made a lot of money during COVID and invested that in infrastructure, which made a larger supply. The influx in supply is going to always affect the demand.
Yeah, a lot of people are regretting their investments in infrastructure. I see it over and over again.
2021, everybody was going bigger.
Yeah.
Everybody was going bigger. They're like, I got 200 lights, I'm going to build out to 900. Like, all right.
Yeah, I think a lot of us thought it was never going to end. And it was so good during COVID for so many people, especially in this industry.
I feel like, yeah, man, the price of cannabis went up 300% in like 3 months.
Yeah.
And, that's unheard of. I don't know why people thought that was going to last.
Right.
but yeah, it was such a huge jump in the market. It affected the market so much. And then, I think that influx of cash affected a lot of the world. So, we see the effects that it had on cannabis, and a lot of those ventures, sadly enough, are failing at a high rate.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then now, we're talking about going global, and then we've got all these countries opening up, and eventually there's going to be commerce We're going to do not just domestic, but it'll be international and domestic, and import, export. It's going to be amazing.
We're still in the first quarter. I feel like we're definitely like in the first quarter. You know, we're in the first half of the first quarter as far as how the industry is going to develop in the next 10 years. You know,
yeah, just scratching the surface of it.
Just scratching the surface and all the infrastructures that have to be built out in between. No, there's definitely going to be a lot of opportunities in cannabis in the upcoming future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of it. I'm looking forward to the new genetics too. It's like there's a lot of people breeding right now. And,
there's more people growing than ever before, you know, and I think that's globally.
Everybody's a breeder.
Globally.
Right.
If you didn't touch no pollen, you're not a breeder.
Right.
I don't know what the rules are. But that's what so I heard. I don't know.
So that's supposed to be the deal.
You know, it's a lot of people coming up with new strains, but I'm like, you're not a breeder though. How you come up with a new strain?
Yeah.
Like I
the
never
rename game is real.
It's the re-rock game.
Yeah. There's 75 different lemon cherry gelatos with different names at least.
Yes. Rich off re-rocked runts. That's a new thing.
Re-rocked runts.
Re-rocked runts. Yeah, that's a new thing. Definitely. And yeah, there's a lot of, every week there's a new strain but no breeder attached. Like, I don't know how you got that one.
Right.
But most of these brands aren't cultivators, so it's like just marketing.
Just marketing. Yep. So it's funny because lemon cherry gelato is really still, I would say, the most popular thing on the market. I mean, there's a lot of other popular
I feel like
things,
by far.
but lemon cherry gelato is just dominant right
in the
now.
highest demand. In the highest demand. Yes. And I feel like what it actually is up for debate. Is really up for debate.
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's probably the largest in demand. Definitely.
Yeah, as far as a whole.
As a whole, solid LCG, that's what the wholesale people want.
Yeah, it checks the boxes for most people.
It checks the boxes for most people, man. It looks good, smell good, tastes good, get you high.
Yeah.
That's enough for most people.
Totally.
I'm good with that.
You know, Skittles doesn't have a big ceiling, but it as far as the effect, it doesn't get you that high. It doesn't get you high like
blam you like this one. Not at all.
Yep.
It's a daytime smoke, more sativa leaning.
Yeah.
Like that, yes, for sure.
But it's approachable to everybody. Like that's one thing with Skittles. It's like
it tastes
pretty
so
much
good.
It tastes so good, and everybody can appreciate that flavor.
So distinct.
Yep.
For sure.
We got to get on a joint number 2. Sure, I'll take that one when you fire up the. Like, you like it so much, you're not sharing.
I was gonna smoke it to the bottom. No, it's good. I like the second one. Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah, this one's got a nice ring. It's got some drip to it.
That one's smoking.
What's funny because
that one at all.
Really good flower. I feel like from the time you light it up, it changes and the flavor intensifies as it goes down. If it's really good, down into the roach.
For sure. And that's rare. You know, that is, if the last 40% of your joint is enjoyable, that's really good rare flower.
Yep. That tastes amazing.
Top 10%. Feel like you're 30%, there's 30% of the joint left and it's still flavorful. That's top tier flower.
I mean, I would say on average stuff, the first hit might taste good and then the flavor goes away.
Right.
And then there's like.
Typical.
Yeah, that's typical. That's most things. You know, and some stuff that looks so good, you go to smoke it and it's a disappointment.
Some of it smells so good and the smell doesn't transfer into the taste of the smoke.
No. Yeah, Purple Punch is one that I am not a huge fan of straight Purple Punch, but I think it's a good breeder. I think it breathes well into stuff. But it just has kind of bland terps. Like you might get a little flavor when you light it up and that's it. All the way down, there's nothing else.
I like the flavor that it does have though.
Yeah.
That had a nice sweet candy flavor. It's like a predecessor
so
to
the extract
candy.
is really good. I think the extract on that's really good, but I'm not a huge, just not my thing.
Not most people's thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the potency.
No.
Has the bag appeal though. I feel like it's a lot of growers have success growing it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Forbidden Fruit was another one. It's like.
Forbidden Fruit had its 15 minutes of fame.
Literally.
That's one of those, this is unique, this is different. But so I feel like it was unique, it was different. Everybody was interested. The appeal went bad fast.
Overnight, people were like, I don't want this.
People were interested, and then they decided that they didn't like it.
Right.
I remember the first bag of Forbidden Fruit I smelled, I was like, this is different, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then I smoked it, I was like, not my favorite.
Yeah, it's funny because Tangy really had its day for a long time. Tangy was You know, it was winning all the cups. I think it's one of the most awarded strains in history. And you don't see Tangy anymore, really. I mean, I don't see Tangy anymore.
You know what? You see Tangy that's grown to get washed because you see a lot of Tangy rosin.
For sure,
so you
Tangy
see that
rosin.
like there's some Tangy strains that are grown just to get washed.
Yeah, and I like orange terps. I like every kind of terp pretty much.
I'm not a citrus terp guy. I mean, that'd be like my least favorite. Probably is like some citrus terps, but
yeah, I won't go buy it or go out of my way.
Interesting enough, like some of the hot shit is like some orangey citrusy terps that I've seen lately that people were like, hey, this is the hot shit. And I was like, the orange citrus terps, huh?
Dude, that orange Zerbert's good.
The orange Zerbert's unique. Like I said, orange wouldn't be my,
Yeah, I feel like that one is not super popular in the market as far as for me.
You know what? I've never seen a blacked out strain that tastes citrusy like that. Yeah. And that orange Zerbert was like full color, dark as fuck, orangey, Zerby. But not my favorite.
Just like sun-kissed oranges. But yeah, you have to really like that orange. It's kind of like how Jack is kind of disliked.
Orange, I don't know if you heard of Orange Julius. It was like a chain of like this orange drink. That's what the orange Zerber tastes like. Yeah, I never seen a citrusy orangey like perped out super dark strain like that one. But same shit, wasn't my favorite.
Totally.
I voted against it.
Different strokes for different folks.
Right, for sure. There's definitely some people that appreciate that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Super Boof. You smoke Super Boof?
I don't believe I have. It sounds familiar, but I don't believe I have. No.
How about Dante's Inferno?
No, not that one either. I'm not. Those are some more smaller batch grows.
Yeah. Mile High Dave has that Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well. No, I haven't smoked any of that.
Yeah.
I haven't touched a lot of the smaller batch stuff. I have, but I haven't been dug into a lot of the smaller batch stuff.
How about Zope?
I feel like if LCG is number one, Zope might be the 2 or the 3. Might be the 2 or the 3. It might be one of those strains that people still have interest in, might still have like similar value.
And the real Zope is amazing. It's good. I think it's great.
And the real Zope is a really amazing strain. SF Canna and Planta, both of my cultivation partners have grown it, and they both came with some really amazing representations of Zope. So I definitely, Zope is definitely a pretty dope strain.
So are you going to go with SF Canna on that one?
Yes, for sure. I would say.
Can you guess what it is?
No. Let me see. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I feel like this could lean either way. It is more of.
It's got a nice ash.
It's burning clean. I don't know. I'm like, I could tell you which ones it's not.
Yeah, it's guava gas.
It's guava gas. Interesting.
Number 4.
And
I have GG4 on the bag, so everyone's like, Gorilla Glue number 4.
Right.
Like, no, it's guava gas.
I like the 5 better. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, out of the that was a really, I think that we found some really dope guava gas phenos.
Yeah.
Same thing. I don't think it's going to be a hit though. But I think the potency on the shit is crazy.
It's crazy.
Potency on the shit is really crazy. Yeah. But I don't know that it's going to be like, I don't know that it's going to be a wave.
It's going to hit. Yeah.
Maybe.
It might.
It might.
It did for NorCal Nemo.
That's a very,
a very unique.
That's a very unique brand. That's a very unique brand that's been around for 18 years.
Yeah.
That's been around 18 years. They've been able to make a lot of shit jump that most people can't make jump. And
the Skittles.
And the number they're getting for their units is astronomical.
It's pretty wild.
Much respect to them, man. Much respect to them. They're definitely I feel like there's so many segments of the market, you know what I mean? And they have their segment of the market that's willing to pay an astronomical amount of money for their product. I ain't mad at them. Like, I feel like a lot of people hate on them, a lot of people love them, but I'm not mad at them. They've done an amazing job. I think they've done an amazing job.
It's good for everybody. That's what people that don't like them, they have their own issues. But it's good for everybody, you know. And there's levels to all this, and there's price points for everybody. So no matter you going to buy a car, there's price points that go on up forever and ever.
Exactly.
You know?
No, yeah, for sure. And whether it's worth it or not, that's like, yeah, that's a matter of opinion. The people that are paying it think it's worth that.
They must.
And they're paying it. And I know for actual factual that they're paying it. It's not like,
I got a friend that pays.
Yeah, I got a friend.
More.
Yeah, I got a friend that just got a QP at an astronomical rate. And I was like, oh, it's real. People are paying that. Okay, for sure. And he was saying that, yes, he could get X amount for it. And I was like, that's absurd. But
it's wild.
The market's there for it. The market's there. You know what I mean? I'm like, not mad at it. Not mad at it.
Yeah.
And I've had some really good representations of their work. So I respect their work. I mean, so.
Yeah, it's good. It smokes good.
I respect what they've done as a brand as well. They've curated their audience and they've been able to get the highest dollar for their product. I'm not mad at them by any means.
Yeah, if weed would have gone up as much with inflation, that's what we all would be paying compared to like the 80s and 90s.
If you look at the price of weed, yes, it hasn't gone up with inflation. But I think that's because, I mean, when it was illegal, it was being produced at a lower rate. Now that it's legal, you know, there's less risk, so there's less reward. You know what I mean? There's less risk, so there's definitely less reward. That's a big part of why the price is cheaper.
Right.
I mean, 50 pounds, you're probably going home. You get pulled over with 50 pounds, you're in California, you're probably going home today.
Getting a smile and a handshake.
Yeah, I remember when 50 grams, you're probably not going home.
No, I think 50 pounds now, they're not even going to bring you in. They're going to cite you and release you probably.
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. I don't want to test the theory out. I'm not trying to test the theory out, but.
That's the rumor.
Rumor has it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's a way different age, so way less risk. So it's got to be less reward, even though it's still rewarding.
Well, it's a misdemeanor now. So
it's a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
As it should be.
As it should be for the best. So, yeah, we had Luke Scarmazzo on the show. He did 14 years.
Luke Scarmazzo was the guy. I feel like he's, when he went down, he was the dude. He was the dude. He was the flex king of his era. He was definitely the flex king of his era. I think that he has a better image now, but Luke Scarmazzo was the guy before. He was like, yeah, I know that. I know of his legacy. I feel like he has his own, he's like a living legend to a certain degree.
Yeah, and he's young still.
He's young still, but he was like, the story was he was like skyballing off cannabis like in a long time ago, and then he got busted by the feds and did a lot of time behind it. But I heard he was the flex king.
Dude, he wrote a good book too. His stories, but
I would love to hear his whole story. I would definitely read that whole book. But I know he was like getting money the generation before me, and I think it was a lot. I think he was doing his thing, getting a lot of bread, and then got hit by the feds. But
I mean,
that's the story. His story is
wild.
That's the story that I heard.
Yeah.
Then I heard, you know, like it was like one of the people that people were getting behind, trying to help support to get out of cannabis or to get out of prison, and I was like, I definitely heard of bro. Like, he's definitely a living legend.
Yeah.
In the streets, he's a legend for sure. I feel like not everybody knows that. I feel a lot of people know that he was in jail for cannabis.
They don't know the whole story.
They don't know that he was a legend in these streets. Yeah, he was doing big shit in the streets.
Yeah, pushing boundaries.
He pushed
boundaries. He was pushing boundaries.
He was pushing them over. He was pushing them over. It was a thing for sure, and it was a different era. It was a different era.
So, how long do you think gelato is going to be? That not even gelato, but that flavor profile is going to be on top? You think it's going to last, 10, 12 years? You think it's going to go sooner?
Man, if I had the answer to that one, I'd be rich.
The crystal ball.
Because I feel like everybody wants to know what's next.
Yeah.
And I feel like, there's been large marketing efforts to push what's next, but I don't think anything's really caught the traction of like the broader market yet. So how long that's going to last, I don't know. I feel like, I think that as it develops, there's so much infinite variety of flavors that there's going to be savory, gassy, sweet, different categories of flavors. And the market's going to determine what's going to be the most popular.
It's interesting because back in the day, it was like it was very regional what was popular. You know, LA was OG. We had Cookies in the Bay. They had Sour Diesel in New York.
Right.
Down in Florida, they had their own thing. And I feel like because of accessibility and because of social media, everybody knows what's popular, and so it's all over the place.
I feel
everywhere.
like we're a lot more global world at this point. We're a lot more, yes, with the internet and social media, we're a lot more global world. I feel like slang and fashion used to be like more regional, but as far as like how the access to information and access to people, I feel like we're more a global society. So yeah, the trends seem to be more global.
Yeah, food slowly become that, extremely global.
Food, I mean, it's a global society. You know, we can talk to people nationwide so easily now. There's so much access to information now.
So much.
Too much.
Too much sometimes, for sure.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of information and there's like just as much misinformation. So it just depends who you ask.
Yeah. So if you could go back in time to your younger self that had just been in the industry for 1 or 2 years, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
Trust your hustle.
Trust your hustle.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I don't think I ever looked at cannabis as a career. So maybe if I would have had thought it was a career and I had invested more time in it, could have got further, but more or less, I'm happy with how things worked out.
Well, it's great that you're driven by passion. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing.
That's one of the biggest blessings.
Yeah. Well, and really to start off smoking, it's one thing. I have a lot of friends that started off growing. I was like an avid smoker. I love smoking weed.
Right.
I love everything about the plant, but that's what made me fall in love with it, was the smoking, not just the growing or anything else.
It's interesting to see because there's a lot of growers that are really passionate about the growing aspect, not so much the smoking aspect. And it's like, I'm definitely the smoking aspect of it. So it's interesting to see that like people value my palate because it wasn't like a skill that I set out to have. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
well, you're blessed by being in the right circles of people to have exposure to the good stuff, and really, that's once you get the good stuff, you can never go back. In my opinion, it's really tough.
Man, it's real tough to go back. Yeah. Like, I mean, you can go back financially. You can't. You know what I mean? That might be the circumstances, but. Yeah, once you smoked and enjoyed really good flower, it's hard to go back. Yeah. No, I can't smoke no mids. Nope.
Well, it's hard even going on vacation when you have such good flower unless you have flower with you. Or, it's like anymore. We're talking about global, so there's places like Spain where you can really get good flower, but that's not everywhere.
That is not everywhere, and I feel like that dictates some of my travel. I don't want to go anywhere where we can't smoke good, because how good could it be if we can't smoke?
Right.
That's definitely a thing. But in the future, that would be really cool. Like if you had a brand and you could ensure the same quality globally, like I could, pop an eighth of Planta open in California and get the same quality in Spain, get the same quality in the UK. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah. Freshness,
I feel like it's
quality,
coming.
all that
I feel like
stuff.
it's coming.
It is.
How fast? Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. As long as we're still going in the right direction, that's okay.
Right. It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same. I agree. It's like the progress is slow. I feel like progress is slow, but we're heading in the right direction, making huge strides.
Yeah, I don't think any of us envisioned legalization being like this when we were younger. But
not at all. Not at all. I didn't think this. No. Might have invested more time into it had I thought it was gonna develop the way it did. But yeah, same. I'm happy how it worked out.
Yeah, it's a great time to be alive. I mean, just in general with technology and the emerging technology, and now we got the new virtual reality glasses that just came out. It's wild.
It's a great time to be alive, and I think that the evolution of cannabis is crazy. It's evolved just as fast, and I feel like the culture of cannabis enthusiasts has evolved, just as fast. So there's like a lot of culture and events that are starting to develop like super fast that we'll see like on a global scale in our lifetime probably. Yeah.
So you got to try that one last joint. You might want to go back to one.
The mystery joint.
The mystery joint. The one that you don't think is SF Canna.
Hopefully it smokes well. It's not. It's different. And that's what I was going to say, that like I feel like a lot of these brands are known for, especially like cultivation brands that are known for certain strains, but I think they all grow a bunch of different strains. So I was going to say, I know you're friends with the grower. You get some of the ones that not everybody gets. Me too.
Right.
But yeah, so because it tastes like something we could have grown, but definitely something that we're not known for be growing.
Yeah, you guys stay away from lumber
Who rolled
flowering.
these? These are These are very well rolled. Who rolled these?
Professional joint roller at Instagram. He's our
Nice.
joint guy. I mean, I roll joints too. I just don't have time. He gets the band on him. He gets it down perfect. I mean, I roll good joints myself, but I enjoy these a lot. And so
Same.
these are the collaboration with SF Canna. We got pre-rolls coming out. We've been R&D'ing them for a while. We still have to R&D them for longer, but this is the pre-roll that we're going to be releasing in California. This
is a nice size. This is a good size joint.
Yeah, I like that 3 gram to 3.5 gram. Those are, I feel like you get the best flavor out of them, especially when it's good and you can smoke.
I like
it
that
down
as
like
a share size. If I'm smoking it by myself, I would probably want it a little bit smaller, but for a share size, this is perfect.
Yeah. Well, I feel like with the SF Canna weed, for example, you can put it back in the tube and you can pull it out of the tube and it still tastes good. You can do that 4 or 5 times. So
for sure.
And then same thing with pheno hunting. I'm big on giving people joints for pheno hunting rather than giving them the flower. So it's all kind of on the same even playing field.
Interesting. That's dope.
I think it's
I wish people did that for me.
Yeah.
And just hand me pre-rolled joints of all the phenos and be like, hey, just smoke these. I'm like, nah, I want to see the flower too though, but I want to like both though.
Right. Well, someone like I would share the flower with
2 joints.
Yeah, I'd share the flower with you, and then I want to know the feedback on the joints. Right. But not everybody. For the most part, I know what the good flower looks like. I know it has bag appeal. It's really the taste and the effect that I want to know.
Right.
Feedback from. And like how did it taste in the joint? When you smoked it halfway, was the flavor gone? Was the flavor even better down when you fired the roach up the next day?
Some of the weed, the flavor changes as you smoke it.
Yeah.
So does it stay consistent? It's a big thing.
Right.
I feel like this is the one that gets put out. I don't think that this
not your cup of tea.
This didn't really taste right. I feel like this one might have been spicy.
Spice. It's actually not even THC. It's spice.
Man, that's interesting. It's spicy.
It is spicy.
That's funny. I'm like, which one do I really like?
Tell me a little bit more about your MMA career.
MMA is a tough way to make a living.
Yeah.
My MMA career, I felt like I was very blessed to be around some of the best people in the sport. So I was blessed to be around some of the best people in the sport. And I think that I was blessed to see like how people at a high level perform because I was around some of the best fighters in the world. So it's interesting to see how like the best people perform and handle things at a high level. So my fighting career was dope. I think that it was really dope. It was something that I enjoyed as well. That I was passionate about, that I was able to make some money doing. So it was cool. I think that fighter pay is the most fucked up shit in like sports. I feel like the amount of revenue that the largest MMA promotions are paying their fighters is like very small amount. Like most professional sports, I think the revenue sharing is like closer to 50% to where like the league makes 50%, the players make 50%, somewhere in that range. And I think that like professional fighting, it's like the largest company gets 85% of the profits and they pay out their people 15%. So I think that there's a lot of that the fighter pay is really fucked up. Like if we're speaking out, like the fighter pay is fucked up. If the fighter pay was better, I might have fought more. But it wasn't like, and I feel like the fame and clout is high, but the pay is low. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like, yeah, the opening pay for some of these larger promotions isn't that high. And I feel like there is some people making a really good living, but it's a very small amount. Most people that are fighting are definitely in it for the love of the fight game, not for the bag. Yeah. If you look at I think only like a real sliver of the people are making a good living doing it.
Yeah, there's a handful of people crushing.
There's a handful of people getting their bag, but not that many. Not that many. No. Shout out to Nate Diaz. He did his thing. He got paid.
He's showing everyone how it's done.
Yeah. He's been showing everybody how it's done for a long time. Yeah. So as far as fighting goes, I was definitely blessed to be around some of the best fight camps. I was a part of Uriah Faber's Team Alpha Male. We were MMA Team of the World 3 years in a row. And then I trained a lot with the Diaz brothers. I trained a lot with Nate Diaz. So I did get to train with some of the best people. It was really, I mean, I enjoyed the lifestyle for sure. If I could have made better money, I'd probably still be doing it.
How's their cardio? Those guys smoke a lot of weed.
When I was training with Nate, I feel like obviously their cardio is phenomenal. I feel like my cardio was on a high level and we were smoking a lot. We were smoking a lot, and I feel like cardio was on a very high level. I mean, my last fight for Bellator, the dude I fought was supposed to have like incredible cardio. I feel like he was more tired than I was, and I was smoking a lot. I'm like, yeah. So I don't know that how much of a negative effect smoking has on athletic performance.
Definitely not much with the Diaz brothers.
Oh, man, those dudes can go forever. For sure.
Well, and then Nick's banned for cannabis.
I feel like it was really unfortunate in that he was definitely competed in the wrong era because, you know, the bulk of his career, he was suspended for smoking, but that's a dude who's definitely going to do what he wants to do. So I think it was an injustice to the sport that we didn't get to see that dude perform more because he's
it's a tragedy.
That was a special athlete. Nick Diaz. He's a special athlete. I think that he's a unique and special martial artist, and I think that we didn't get to see him in his prime because of he was sidelined because of cannabis. So yeah, it is unfortunate.
So who's your favorite MMA fighter of all time?
It's funny that you say that because Nick Diaz might be my favorite MMA fighter of all time. I got good relationships with some really amazing fighters, like Gilbert Melendez, one of the local ones. And it's crazy because as far as like skill set that I respect of how they do it, that's probably my favorite fighter of all time.
Me too. I got to get him on the show. Shout out to Nick Diaz.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
That's a tough one.
Yep. But he'll do it for sure. That's probably I mean, he might be the GOAT in my opinion. He's a really, really talented mixed martial artist.
Yeah, CJ used to train with him as well. He was in CJ's corner back in the day.
Nice. That's dope.
So, yeah.
You know, Northern California, I feel like, it's a tight-knit fight group. So,
yeah.
For sure.
Cannabis is the same way.
Cannabis is the same way. And fighting. I feel like it's interesting. There's a lot of fighting people who have transitioned into cannabis, and there's a lot of fighting people who make a living on the side in cannabis. So it's cannabis is like pretty prevalent in fight culture. It's interesting.
Yeah,
a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys smoke a lot of weed.
A lot of jiu-jitsu guys smoke weed, man.
It's a vibe, and grow it.
Yeah,
and grow the shit too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so if people are trying to get a hold of you, where can they go to find you?
I feel like I'm pretty accessible, but you can find me online at Freddie Bigg. I feel like I'm pretty readily accessible online.
So tell me about your products.
Oh, I brought some flower. So Planta Cannabis Company is a Los Angeles-based cultivation company. I think that my cultivation partner does an amazing job. That's what I was saying. We've been hunting new flavors, and we've put some new flavors into rotation, and we're running some classics too. So this Cleopatra right here is a candy gas. 11 Coffins is also a candy gas. These are both bred by Duke of Herb, and I think there's some really different, unique terps. We have Biscotti as well, which is a really dope representation of a really popular classic strain. And I think my cultivation partner does a really amazing job. I think that we're available in all the best stores in Southern California at the moment. Backpack Boys, Go Global, Atrium. So, so that's what I brought out today. And I think that we just did our first rec drop less than a year ago. So we're making a press into the recreational market. And
nice.
I think that my cultivation partner does an amazing job. And I think that the quality and flavors are pretty exceptional.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I look forward to having you on the show again.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on.